what's your view about Africa, US, Africa, Russia, Africa, China, Africa, EU, Africa summits? See, they call Africa presidents to come for summits. Now, the African leaders have decided, hey, we will not be called like little boys and girls to come and sit down and be lectured by the so-called big boys. You know?
Okay,
what do you think about those summits?
Well, first of all, 70% of African Union's budget come from Europe. That is over 70% of African Union's budget, annual budget, come from Europe. So that's a little bit of a handicap there.
Yeah.
But simply put, I think African sovereignty must be respected, and Africans should always choose Africa first, regardless whether it's US, China, Russia. It doesn't matter. The Africans and African nations should not be forced to choose side. I'm sure most audience agree with me on that principle.
Yeah.
However, in reality, is that as long as we're financially reliant on the other countries, it's difficult. But you have a whole world's social construct against you: the financial institution, the credit rating, the IMF, the World Bank, the even OECD, even United Nations. It is a Western construct, including military bases from the NATO and the AFRICOM. They're all over Africa. It is difficult. And the thing is, there's still a lot of money that's being siphoned out of Francophone countries to France, for example. Until those issues are addressed, we are at the mercy of the hunters. And so, but that can be changed. Self-reliance, there's a lot. People ask me, I just simply state that the solution is systematically implements organized knowledge. If the resources is already here, we just need to organize it. African diaspora has a responsibility to knowledge transfer to help to build systems within the African continent, just like what China did, that the Chinese diaspora did for China. It's the same thing. And I know we're running out of time, and I wanted to say that there's actually studies from Oxford, and saying it lays out that Africa actually borrow far more money from Europe, like through IMF and World Bank, than China. China only constitute about like 10-15% of all the loan that Africa borrowed.
Yeah.
And China's loans is at a much lower interest rate than the IMF and World Bank. And that is a publication by Oxford. You can Google it.
Yeah.
So Chinese debt trap, everybody I talk to that is like scholars in this area saying that is not true. So I wanted to put that out. And it's the same thing that's working against Africa in terms of media's agenda. That is why we have Lens of Africa ourselves, because we want to reinterpret and rebrand Africa the way it's supposed to be, the authentic Africa and Africans that's supposed to be understood by the world, and not whatever is being circulated, single story perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get what you're saying, and I agree most of them. See, like I said earlier before, see, Africans, we have the opportunity to rebrand our continent.
Yes.
Okay? We have the opportunities to rebrand our continent. See, again, I'll go back to history. Whatever the big, in quotes, big boys, America, Europe, China, Russia, is doing to Africa, those kind of things have been done by the so-called big boys of the past to the little boys of the past. But there's always a way for these so-called small people to become big. Okay, so see that's why I don't buy into that victim mentality. Okay, I rather buy into the opportunity and visionary hope story by looking back and say, what did these guys do when they faced this kind of problem? And
I can summarize that in one sentence for you.
Okay.
And this is a message I have for African youth as well. Whether you're youth, as long as you're African or African descent, especially for African, whatever you do, whenever you're going to a space of negotiation, when you have to, speak at the table, you must always come from the position of strength.
I agree.
You must always do that when it comes to negotiating, whether it's Russian, whether it's Americans, and whether it's Europeans. You must come from, because you do have a lot of strength, a lot. The reason that they are all hammering here is because you have something that they want, and you need to understand that is your strength. And then when you go on the table, you must come from the position of
that's true. We must come from position of strength. But I would say this, so that you can go on and do what you need to do. See, for me, having the minerals of the world is not strength. See, there are very few countries or regions that have been world powers or whatever based on minerals. Leaders come from knowledge. See, knowledge, the knowledge that people can have, the thinking ideas are 10 times bigger than any mineral you find in the ground. Because without knowledge, the minerals are useless.
But knowledge is a resource too.
Yes, that's the point. Knowledge is the ultimate resource. So that's what I'm trying to promote, knowledge. We can have all the minerals, but if we don't have the knowledge to exploit those minerals, to use those minerals, we will continue being dominated by those
implementation of organized knowledge.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Mr. What's his name now? Napoleon Hill. Yes. So, Ellen, thank you very much for being a great guest of Think Big for Africa. I know we have Trump punches, but I hope we'll have another opportunity to talk. All right.
I hope so too.
Yes. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.